is made Nilbate Sannata, and it's releasing now in Tamil called Amma Kanakku on 24th. So yeah, that's my introduction. Um, when I was reading Dance of Durga, I was engrossed with the character that I wanted to know more about it. Rajjo was this mesmerizing character which I wanted to read page after page. I was even wondering how did Kanika even think of a character like this, and such a strong subject that I had this lingering question in my mind which I wanted to ask Kanika. So Kanika, I call you here. I have a lot of questions to ask you about this beautiful novel which you have written.
All depends on how you define God. Now, if it is a traditional definition, then maybe I'd say no. But my belief is that I find godliness in the cosmic design. I find godliness in coincidences. So my idea of godliness and God is fluid and may not necessarily conform to a traditional definition of God per se. And I can discover godliness in a sweet mango. Daji was talking about it in the morning. But it's really true in nature, in trees, leaves, it's everywhere for me. Is the relationship on and off like any other relationship? Yes, it has its ups and downs, but we work around it and ultimately it keeps us going. So yes, like my character Rajjo, I do have my differences with this supreme universal being, and I make my peace after a while.
I think all of us are not very, very strongly. I don't think so. I believe in God, but I think I believe more in the universe. So we always have this pre-culture and current culture difference in our lives, which keeps troubling us, is because we need to hear our parents who completely believe in God, and here is this generation who feels that okay, God is there, but then I think we need to believe in humanity and in universe and all that. So continuing with this topic, I would like to invite Anushka, who lives in the character in every blockbuster movie she has been a part of. She has even given memorable characters to the movies and is remembered by her character. So, Anushka, you have read the book. Yeah, and I want to ask you the same question. Do you believe in God?
Yes, actually, when you were speaking about this, I do believe in God. Yes, first of all, I would want to say hello to everyone who's here. This is my first time. Yeah, so I want to thank the media who's here. It's for Kanika. I have seen her through the time when she started writing this book. Maybe in between, I met her. We worked on a movie together, and I've seen the transition in her. I've never been a writer, and that's something which I envy people who write, because I don't know how you all get into that world of imagination, and I feel your platform is so huge. What you all create is what a lot of us sit and look up to and dream, whether it's fairy tales, whether it's a lot of things. So I've closely seen her go through a lot writing this book, and then so I keep telling her every time she has a launch, I said, you've given birth to the baby, so it can't be worse than that. So more than this, it's how people read and interpret and how they absorb it and onto themselves. Now, and I want to thank everyone here to be a part of this, friends, family, a lot of people from the industry, media, and thanks for having me here. So getting back to Ashwini now, yes, I do believe in God. When I was sitting there, when you said believe in God, there's something which, I just realized as we were talking that one thing which is very common in the whole thing is that word believe. Do you believe in God? Do you not believe in God? Do you believe in the universe? Do you believe in yourself? So I feel each one of us, there's something that we share so commonly and so strongly is belief. And I feel that itself is a faith. I feel that itself is a God in itself. That whatever you believe in it, you make it your own, you live by it, that's your strength, I feel. So I guess whatever is anyone's belief, I feel it's their God. And my God, of course, I believe in um, the Almighty, whoever the one person, whoever is there, and of course, a lot of my traditionals, my ancestral deities. So I do believe in all of that.
In any given story or any given, whether it's screenplay or whether it's writing a novel, we always make sure that we have a cultural context which is in place to write. And India is so diverse in their culture that it is important that we have a cultural context to set the story and to make sure that the character rises from the cultural context and the story. Kanika has, like I think I visited Punjab only once or twice, and I do not know Punjab, like Amritsar beyond the Golden Temple. So when I was reading her book, I felt I could actually see the visuals of Punjab, of the little things which she used to write, that I could almost visualize that in her writing. So like simple things like the jaggery, what you've really spoken about, the jaggery maker. Now when she had written those lines, which you can read later, is that I could actually smell the fragrance of the jaggery, and actually I wanted to eat good. Sorry, in Hindi it's good. I don't know what to call in Tamil. So tell me something, Anika. How important is a cultural setting in writing a story?
You know, universally, stories follow this one pattern, which is of birth, death, and renewal. And I feel that what makes each story different from the others are the characters and their settings. Now, how important is a cultural setting to a character? I feel a cultural setting gives you the mood, the theme, the context to which you set your characters against. And for me, it's very important to know the roots of the character, where they come from. Their belief system and their opinions are built from the cultural setting that they come from, their socio-economic background. So, I mean, a character obviously is incomplete and in vacuum if you don't give it strong roots and a strong background. And also, not just in stories, as people also, we are creatures of environment, you know. We become who we are because of the environment we grow up in, what we experience, what memories we create. Similarly, as in life, our surroundings and our reactions to those surroundings and our circumstances make us who we are. Our culture defines us in many ways. In the same way, in a story, you need that grounding to give to your character, for them to be more relatable, for them to feel more real. And I feel the more, like you were saying, that you could smell the jaggery. You know, I for one feel that the more focus I give to these details, and the more, the closer I get to that environment or that character or that setting at that point, the more universal will my character and my story be, because it will become all that more real, and it will not just be words written on a page or somebody's imagination. It will have some context to it. So for me, my characters, the character setting is of utmost importance.
On this platform, I would really like to say is because I'm a big Murakami fan, and when I was reading, like the way Murakami writes is that he actually gets into the characters, and because he belongs to Japan, and I've never visited Japan, but when I read his books, I actually transport myself to Japan, and I think Kanika has that flavor. Like, are you transported me to
I am transported
Punjab?
to heaven right now because I love Murakami and his books, and I think he's my hero.
Yeah.
Ever since I discovered him, I want to read everything about him, and before I gush anymore, I'll go back.
Yeah, so like it gave me a very good feeling of Kafka on the Shore kind of thing, you know. So that was
I've
really,
gone back
really
to
nice.
it again.
Yeah. Okay. So in the novel, there's a lot of context about belief and faith. you know, important moments where she questions herself,
Hmm.
and she wants to know whether it's the belief which will take her forward, or is it does she need to have the faith in her Almighty to take her forward, or she should go back. You know, I would like you to read one excerpt from the book on faith, and then we can like discuss. Yeah.
Okay, so just to give a context to this, for those who've not read the novel, very briefly, Dance of Durga is a story of a naive girl from a village in Punjab who's a devotee, and because of how life pans out, she loses her faith in God. She has a very personal relationship, is a believer, and then loses that, and decides to take revenge, and as an act of vengeance goes on to become a god woman, because she says that I'm going to go up there and make money off him and sell him in the marketplace. So she goes on to become the star of the god business and a god woman, and just when she thinks she has everything under control and this vengeance is what has taken her where she is, and she does not really need that faith, is when destiny takes a turn. She falls in love, love happens, and as usual destroys everything that we know and how we know it, and she comes to a point where she has to choose between faith and faithlessness. She has to decide what her path is going to be. Is she going to continue being the way she is, or is it time for a change? Is it time for embracing faith? Is it time for questioning what she's been believing so far? So in a nutshell, that's the story, and the paragraph that I'm going to read right now. Okay, I'll just give the mic.
Just before we get into the story, I want to share something. I'm not someone who's an avid reader. Never read fiction at all, because I don't know, maybe I'm just so too big-headed, because I feel I have this vivid imagination, and unless someone can really come and break it, I don't want to read something and get into somebody else's world of imagination. And of course, Kanika is a friend, and when she came up with the name called Dance of Durga itself, and she told me a small bit when she was writing, which caught my attention, because I could immediately imagine without imagining better. I could go with it and feel so good with the moments that she was telling me, and that is why I was keen to read this book. And that is something which I want to share with you itself, because we've never spoken about the book before. I believe that each one of us, we live a life, I think this whole universe runs on duality. Each one of us has a duality. Where there's too much of love, genuine love, then there's a very thin line. You can very quickly flip to hatred. Only if there's that much of love can you flip to hatred. Where there's that much of faith, you can go into not believing in faith. So Rajo's character is something which I could so relate to, whether it's Rajo or whether it was Durga. It was something which I could so relate to, that I feel in a very writer's point of view, like how you describe the atmosphere so well, the smell of the rain and all of that, which I feel all of us have forgotten nowadays. We don't, when before the rains come, when I remember when I was a child, I could smell the mud, yes. And as I've grown up, you get busy in your life and you forget that. Similarly, as people, we tend to forget the emotions and what we go through. And that's when, again, getting back to Rajo and Durga, I feel all those things each one of us have within us. We have a Rajo, we have a Durga, we have faith, we have immense faith, we have immense love, we have hatred. We can go to a point of destruction. So each and every part of this book took me through a journey where I could relate to it, and it helped me in a lot of ways, because I felt that maybe at some point of my life, whether it's love, whether it's your desires, where you want to go, it's how you take yourself, your belief system, your support system that takes you ahead, and how you can either slip to be a Rajo or a Durga. So I want to thank you very much. If we go ahead.
Thank you for the lovely words. To get to, just before I read this paragraph, I just want to give a context. You're pointing somewhere. No, that's fine. Unless you all mind. I'm quite comfortable on the sofa. Okay, so just a bit of a context to this, that this is a point. So Rajo is living in a village, one of the 5 siblings. Mother and father are believers, staunch believers of Lord Shani. Everything in life will be granted by Lord Shani. Be a devotee. How we grow up and how our parents tell us, be good, pray to God, life will be good. The only thing is that this kid takes it to heart, and she really truly believes it, and she is a true devotee. And what happens when the signs of in this relationship, this personal relationship between her and her Lord, when cracks start appearing, when the Lord doesn't fulfill the promises she thinks he made to her. So this is, she's at a tender age of, I'd say 17, where she's jilted, and the love of her life, she thinks the love of her life has betrayed her, and she questions the Lord for the first time. So I'm just reading out those lines for you. A tough night later, they're nice lines. Thank you. A tough night later, Rajo knew her body and her soul had bled Kashi out of her life forever. She was cleansed and sterile to the emotion of love. She was never going to hope for it. All she could hear was the rain pelting outside and her mother reading out from the prayer book aloud, as all the siblings sat around, listening to her voice, drawing comfort. By Guru's grace, dry woods blossom forth again in lush greenery. Why are you so afraid, O mind? The flamingos fly hundreds of miles, leaving their young ones behind. Who feeds them? Who teaches them to feed themselves? Why is the mind in a state of unrest, when for each and every person, our Lord provides sustenance? Raja wanted to shut out the prayers and focus on the rain beating down on the roof. She wanted to obliterate the vision of flamingos flying away, leaving their young ones behind to fend for themselves. She wanted to stop a flamingo with flaming pink feathers and ask him, where did the faith come from when there was no Lord around? So this is a girl who's has to drop a baby. She's a tender age of 17, betrayed in love, and she's broken in a way, and this is when she starts questioning the whole concept and idea of God and faith, because she truly believes that her mother is a person who reads the holy book, who follows everything to the T. She does that too, so why is she being punished? So, so in this book overall, like Anushka said, that the idea is not that what you place your faith in, like which she will realize as she moves on in life. It's not a particular Lord or the holy book or a particular deity. The whole faith actually is in your gut. You're born with it. You know, as a kid, as you have a soul and you have a gut and you have faith. It's just as we grow up, as we become adults and we are exposed to life, it starts getting jaded. That trust and that instinct starts getting jaded. And I feel that, and also secondly, I feel that faith does not, the flow of faith does not come from a particular deity or a source of power to a devotee or a person who believes or trusts. It is the other way around. It actually, it starts from a person and a devotee, and whatever you place your faith in is what will give it power. So eventually her journey of faith is that she realizes that it's not the end, it's not what stone or what prayer books or what religious scripture she's placing her faith in. It's the whole idea of trusting something, of having faith, which is the most important thing, and that faith and that belief is what will change her life and people around, not the almighty power that she's praying to necessarily. So the whole idea of faith and how she comes to terms with is the theme of the book that we follow. And of course, situations are created when her lover is almost in a coma, and she can prophesize. She's a gifted girl, and before she was born, her grandmother had prophesied that she's going to call her Durga, because she's going to be this great god woman with millions of followers. And she did have her own gifts. She could prophesize, and once she's abused her dead ear, she's got one ear, left ear is completely dead, and slowly and steadily she starts realizing that she has this gift and starts coming alive. So, and in that she gets a prophecy about her own self that, if she needs to save this love And if she needs to save this man, she needs to rediscover what she's lost, her own fate. She needs to come to terms with what she's been running away from all her life. So that is the bit about faith and the theme of faith that I followed in the book with this particular character.
Correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere her innocence never died at any point. Her faith was something which was always intact. Her faith, initially it was Lord Shani. When she was a small child, it was nature, the rain, that was her faith. And then it went on to Lord Shani. Then it was her love. And then her revenge.
Like it's an act of, you can't hate something till you love something. You can't, if you reject something, that means that is also a belief, no? You can't say I don't believe in anything, because if you are rejecting a philosophy A, your belief is that you are rejecting a philosophy A. So you cannot really, it's the two sides of the same coin. Yeah.
So talking more on faith, our wonderful audience here is like really quiet right now. Do you all have any questions to ask on the whole objectivity of faith?
Everyone's smiling and looking at each other.
So we'll move on. So coming back to characters, Kanika, how important is it to have characters with a voice? How do you go about writing your characters? Or do you fall in love with your characters?
See, for me, my writing process, characters are very important, obviously, like any other writer or a creator. Primarily when I'm writing a novel, my characters are the ones that take me through and sometimes through events that even I don't know about. So once they are developed and once they actually start dictating a lot of situations for me. Mostly my characters you will find refuse to be put in a box. You know, you cannot put them in a stereotypical box, or you cannot say that, you know, this is black and white, because I feel that in real life I have claustrophobia and I hate to be boxed in anywhere.
Yeah, so I was about to ask you, like, does your characters in your book reflect a lot of what you like to be as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to, if I'm told that this can't be done, I like to do it. If I'm told this is how it is done, I like to do it the other way around. So that does reflect in my characters. I don't like to box them in a way, or make them follow a convention because it is supposed to be followed. I like my characters to question certain fundamental realities, themes, ideas. Secondly, I feel that all of us have the good and bad, beautiful and ugly within us. So a lot of my characters in the book you'll see would be wearing, if you can describe it like that, a Greek mask. So you can see the tragedy and you can also see the comedy or the funny side of
but
or the kind side.
Most of your characters are falling in love and falling out of love. So love is like a very, very important part of the journey. Apart from faith, there's a lot of love involved in it. So tell me something more about that.
Love I've defined, I don't think love firstly is just between two people to seek pleasure or when they're attracted to each other. Love has different definitions. It can be attachment, it can be habit, it can be sibling love, it can be something, a nurturing kind of a bond. So it has various definitions, and you can, in real life, we fall in and out of love. We get close to people, we have strong bonds, and we move away. So why shy away from that when we are actually creating our stories? Because selfishness is not necessarily a bad thing, because as a species, we adapt and we take what we need and then we move on. Yeah. So in relationships also, I think so I had to, for a week I had to gently keep telling her, tools of trade, I am trained to do it, separate from me. But so it was I guess it's a natural tendency for people to think that, writers when they're writing, it's a part of them. So if this character is being like this, manipulative and is a little crazy, then it comes from the source. Yes, it does come from the source, and yes, writers are crazy. Last time I did tell them that it's an acceptable form of schizophrenia to write. And we do have many people inside us, and we have a very I'm speaking on behalf of the writers who would like to admit this, and I'm sure they're sane writers, but I think we have crazy minds. We have constantly different characters going on in our head, and we are constantly making judgments, one versus the other. So it's a very chaotic mental space. And I like to bring it out in the most unprotected, romanticized manner. I'd say the words should be naked. The relationships should be the way they are. If it is blood, it should be bloody. So,
it's like in real life, you don't want to see that, but when you're reading the book, you just love those characters and you just want to be a part of that character. It's like you and the book.
I think it's a blessing for writers. You all can let it out somewhere.
You can live in another world.
Each one of us here has the same issue going. It's just that we keep suppressing and saying, no, this is not who you are.
You call me when you're angry, I'll kill someone in the book.
So, Anushka, there's a beautiful excerpt from what Kanika has written. I would like you to read it.
Yes, again, that's a...
I'll just feel a little...
that's a bit I really... that's something which it's one of my personal favorites, because love is something, I guess, like what you all spoke about. It's something which we can never do without. And when we are in it, it always makes our world upside down, whatever kind. And personally, I feel love is all about growth, because I feel each one of us as beings are here to evolve, and it's a part of a growth. The partners come together to grow together, and then it's your choice either to grow together or fall apart. And the first time when we meet each other, and somewhere we take each other for granted. After a few years, we see a lot of other new things around. We just want to, it's like getting into a candy shop. You had your share and you want to go see something else which entices you. But again, it's the same thing. Once you reach that so many years, it gets back to the same thing. And here I feel what was written is, it's the first time when you see someone that fresh, that chemistry, that attraction between them. At the same time, each of us have the spheres within us, whether is it something which is meant to last, or is it something which is not meant to be, especially if you're someone who has a lot of faith, you believe in God and all that. If your heart's broken, then you start you sometimes start blaming your destiny, and you get a little unsure of your life. Oh, just a second.
You can see how much you're excited.
They sat amongst the ruins next to the stream. A star-shaped desire like a zephyr lily grew between them. They stood watching side by side, and then just like that, he reached out to her, and she held his gaze. He bent down and kissed her. Hesitant at first, Raju parted her mouth, gently to allow his cinnamon and cigarette-doused tongue to enter her. Their breath mingled, their bodies merged, and on that day, overcast with magical clouds by the gushing water, their souls soldiered as one, and ran through the stream to an unknown land filled with love and joy, making the water sweeter than it ever was. She made a vision with her dupatta fluttering in the wind, a hue of red and pink, her face forlorn. Like the water ran in the rivulet to unknown seas. They were supposed to stream ahead too, collecting whatever the banks offered and moving along, not pausing, not holding on, not looking back. Perhaps that was the nature of what it was with Harsh, or would ever be, a rivulet. A smile spread across her face, a broad smile. Raju ran to the fruit garden outside, and it began to rain. She soaked it in, feeling him all around her, inside her, enveloping her. Perhaps the sun had snatched the beautiful moment from the running water and was now pouring it on her. Perhaps there was a way to hold on, even if it was a streaming rivulet. And I have a question for Kanika on this. there's some, when I read this phrase, there's something which, of course, the first, when they meet each other, the romance between them, whatever they feel for each other, which, you know, after that they don't have a physical barrier. And then it goes on to two different things, and I want to know, what was it that you wrote this because of? One was the the reference to the rivulet and the stream joining the ocean, and then all of a sudden there was a reference to the running water, and it says perhaps there was a whale to hold on, and that's what made it into rain.
Very good question, sweetie. Actually, when I was writing this, how you explain that, you know, when it's a new love, when lovers meet for the first time, get attracted, there's this attraction, hesitancy, you're getting to know each other, and there's this thought at the back of your mind that, oh, is it going to last or not? So as they are by the stream and while they are kissing, the environment becomes a part of that experience for her, and she feels that maybe as this rivulet is going from shore to shore, maybe this is something that will pass. Maybe it's not really meant to be. We've met as strangers and we'll just go on to different shores. So the rivulet has been used as a metaphor for two lovers who are not really sure if this is something that will hold them together or bind them together for life. And there's a sense of almost a hopelessness that you cannot really ever hold a stream to one particular bank or a shore, or the river is always going to just flow. So there's that sense of loss. Hence that metaphor in the first half. In the second half, the reference is when she's so happy and she's dancing under rain, there's hope. Why? Because she feels maybe when we exchange that kiss, that moment of love, maybe that point there was this, that's the time when that little moment was captured as a cloud from that rivulet, and now it's coming back and she's dancing in the rain. So it's somehow connected, it's coming back to her. So maybe there is a way to capture that flowing stream, and maybe there's a way to hold on to this love. So that is the context in what it was written.
I'm sure without the references to the stream and the rain, I'm sure the story still goes on. I'm sure a lot of people who read by, it would just be a stream, and it would just mean it was one of those romantic moments where it was raining. Is there was it intentional to go into depth? Is that something to do with your writing?
Yeah, I guess what you're also asking is that, you know, the use of these the use of environment and the use of say the weather, it's not just in terms of depicting the scenery or setting a place, a physical place. It's in this book I have used the weather, rain, leaves, the nature, the environment in a very metaphorical sense, because, you know, as a person, when I'm experiencing something and when I'm sad, there's a sense of smell attached to that. If it's going to rain and I'm sad, it will come back to me when it's going to rain. So I, as a person, interact a lot with nature and environment, and it becomes a part of my experience. So as an extension to the characters I create, they also draw heavily from the mood, the themes of the nature around them, and it is woven into the plot, is woven into the writing, because as a person I interact with nature in that manner. So it is very personal, it is emotional, and every emotion and important moment that I live in retrospect again will always have a color, a sense, a smell, a sight, a visual attached to it.
Yeah, but what is reading without using the metaphors? And you have used your metaphors really, really beautifully too.
We have
get the sense of
we
it.
have some books where, you know,
Yeah.
people love it and they don't really need it, because, you know, I'll tell you, there is this constant balancing act also. When one thing I'll share with you while writing this novel, you know, I constantly had to balance between, oh, we don't need to know about what is happening now. Just tell us the plot. Just tell us the story. Is she getting him? Is she not getting him? Is she going out with is the wife finding out about the affair? Just tell us and finish it off.
But we're not making a movie out here. We're writing a book. So you can take hours and days and months to finish your book. There's no timeline for that.
No, but now we have in fact the younger generation, I think they are a little restless in there. Unless you cultivate this habit of reading, I think, and you really enjoy the whole experience of it, I think there is a sense of, okay, I want to get to the story and then finish it.
Life is a journey, and about the faith that whatever is happening in our life, that someday it's going to come back in some form, and it's because of belief which we have in ourselves, and we think that with this faith we'll find a path again. So Kanika, a lot of times we lose our faith. While writing, I'm 100% sure you must have lost your faith and said that, okay, I'm done with this book, I'm not going to be writing anymore. Let's go, let me write my screenplay, at least it'll be faster. So tell us, how do you keep getting your faith in this lengthy book? Because I just spoke to you in the afternoon and you told me it took you 3 years to write this book. 2.5 years.
Yeah, you know, not only did I not lose my faith, I lost my marbles also while I was creating these stories, because you know, this story, like I said when I was opening the whole thing, that you know, it's very personal. A lot of changes are happening in my personal life. I got married to a new city, new people, new family, lost my father. So very intense changes. And of course, when changes like these happen, you do tend to question everything that you've been, you've taken for granted, or you've been, you know, following or believing or everything. So I did have that unease. I did have that period of desolation. I was going through a tough time personally too, and that did reflect. I think I stopped writing in between completely. I did not go back to the novel for almost 6 months, because I just didn't know what to write, and I was just in that zone. I was grieving, and it was just in a very negative manner. And this book, I'd say I had a lot of personal hurdles to cross to get to writing and finishing this story, more than the writer's block per se. But then, you know, you can't really demarcate both, because you are the one who's writing it and it's coming from you. So I forgot the question you asked me actually.
You answered it.
I answered it. Wow. Yeah. At least I'm getting something.
I would like to call Lata Menon to read out the last beautiful lines which Kanika has written.
Yeah, I'll just give the context to this.
Yeah.
So this is when the love of her life, love of Rajo's life, is about to die. He's on his deathbed, and Rajo doesn't know what to do. And she's come at those crossroads where she's looking for answers, and she hopes she can find or save her lover. And the people that she's speaking to, these are her, when she was younger and she was in an ashram, in a dera. These were the people who were friends and confidants, Arjun and Kuljit, and she turned to them for advice and those final moment of making that decision, and what she really needs to do to get her love back, and what does she need to do in life.
He is dying, it's whispered in my ear. Only I can find his hidden breath. Where do I look? She looked at Arjun with despair. Arjun smiled at her and said, "You cannot find his breath in the dark, devious hands of your empire, nor in the time you played with fire when you sold him in anger. Find your way back. Go back to before you started your journey as a god woman, when the raindrops on your skin warmed with hope and faith." She remembered the window from which she had thrown the deity out. She remembered the smell on her skin of that man who had raped her through the night. She remembered the cold tap and the water dripping on the bathroom floor as she sat there half dead. She remembered sitting in the bus and leaving her village far behind. There was nothing more to be said here. To go back in time, she would relive the horror she left behind, open the wounds, tear the scabs, and let the blood ooze out till there was nothing left to cover and hide.
Thank you, Lata. It sounds so nice in your voice, and I could continue hearing that a little more.
So this was like a short conversation with Kanika. I would love, interestingly, she's written the screenplay of my next film, so I'm going to be directing her written screenplay. So I kind of enjoyed this book a lot.
Thank you.
And I would like Rajiv Menon, Lata Menon to please come on stage and Anushka to inaugurate the book.